Guys, do you want to see something unbelievable? Do you want to see something thought impossible in our universe under our laws of physics? Yes? Okay, good. In France, the left and the liberals have, at least in a sense, set aside their differences and worked together to prevent the spread of fascism. No, I'm not joking. Can you believe it? I thought such a thing was impossible. The first round of elections in France favored Le Pen's party pretty substantially. I believe her party won 33% of the vote, or the seats in total, which is like greater than any other coalition or bloc. However, following her overperformance in the initial election, 218 left and center candidates dropped out so that the votes would not be split between them and the favored candidate to beat Le Pen's national rally candidate in that district. Huh? I think that's pretty good, I think. A little bit. Unless this is breaking news, I heard the left was willing to support the center, but the centrists wouldn't do the same for the left. Not quite. It actually was. Here we go. According to a count by French newspaper Le Monde, some 218 candidates supposed to compete in the second round have pulled out. Of those, 130 were on the left and 82 came from the Macron-led centrist alliance Ensemble, it counted. That's not surprising because, as I understand it, the left Popular Front was more likely and has been getting more seats anyway, so it makes sense they would have like a proportionally higher number of people in a position to drop out. Hundreds of people withdrawing, so the favored candidate against the fascist won. Are French liberals more competent than American liberals? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's a good moment. It's a good moment. It's a good moment.
Marine Le Pen's a far-right anti-immigrant party has come out on top of France's historic parliamentary elections. But this is only the first round. The decisive second-round runoff is Sunday. Marine Le Pen's national rally is on track to have the most seats in the next French parliament.
Here are the results from the first round. This is just the first round, keep that in mind. 28% came from the hastily assembled left coalition, which ranges from like Social Democrats to the Communist Party, the New Popular Front. Macron's decrepit centrist party, Ensemble, makes up 21%. Then you have the irrelevant Les Républicains. And then with 33%, you have the fascist National Rally Alliance. So with a bunch of weaker candidates in this chunk right here, withdrawing in order to increase the likelihood of them winning over the national rally, I think it's very, very possible that Le Pen's party does not, in fact, win.
However, we'll only find out Sunday if she has an absolute majority and can form a new government. So, centrist President Emmanuel Macron will stay president for the next 3 years, but he will be very weakened, both domestically and on the world stage. And his decision to call these snap elections is looking like a massive political miscalculation. Many voters see Macron as out of touch with their concerns, particularly their economic concerns, and as part of a kind of arrogant Parisian elite. Marine Le Pen has tapped into that frustration, notably by blaming immigrants for many of France's problems. Her party...
Wow, the economic inequality caused by neoliberal austerity gives rise to fascists who use the inequality as like a fulcrum to blame immigrants? That's crazy, man. If only we could have predicted this happening based on the evidence of it having happened 5 million times before.
Would scale back rights of people with immigrant backgrounds. And that has a lot of her rivals concerned. They see this as a threat to human rights and to France's democratic ideals. This could have implications beyond...
One of the articles that I read on this topic, by the way, described Le Pen and the national rally of being the first far-right French government since World War II, since the Vichy government, Vichy, which is insane, but it's true, but it's just insane to think about it that way. Like, yeah, man, not since the literal Nazi collaborator government under occupied France has there been a result like this.
On France. If Macron has to share power with the far right, that's a system called cohabitation in France, where you have the president and prime minister from opposing political camps. And that could have implications such as the far-right prime minister might want to halt France's support for Ukraine, or derail Macron's efforts to fight climate change, or even erect new borders within Europe. A few scenarios are possible on Sunday. One is that the far right gets an absolute majority and then they get to name a prime minister in a situation called cohabitation in France. Another is that no party has
I would be very surprised if they managed to get an absolute majority after this pragmatic bid by the center and the left.
An absolute majority, but the far right has the most seats in parliament. At that point, Macron could name a prime minister from the far right National Rally, or they could have some kind of technocratic government where they try to come up with people to run the government who are not part of any party. However, either situation is likely to lead to long legislative gridlock, and it will make it very hard for Macron or France to pass any new policy.
Just a little beacon of hope. Just a little beacon of hope. The wave of withdrawals mean there will be now fewer than 100 districts with 3 candidates standing in the second round. Are you telling me there are liberals that understand you have to strategize? Let's not give Macron too much credit here, okay? Macron and his cronies are still largely responsible for everything that is happening right now. This is, as I understand it, largely like the better elements of Macron's party understand. Like, this isn't a centralized strategy where Macron is like, yeah, drop out to favor our left comrades or whatever. This is like some people in his party going, we hate the fascists more than we hate the leftists, we're going to drop out for their benefit. It's not the Macronies, exactly. It's not Macron himself being like hyper pragmatic and you know, good-hearted. Oh man, Macron is also afraid of the left. All liberals are. This is before the mass dropout.
Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally party has taken the lead in the first round of voting in the French election. John Sparks has the details from Paris this hour.
Yeah, I've got the results from one of the exit polls, National Rally and their hard-right coalition on 33% of the vote, not seats because we're in the first round, but 33% of the vote. 28.5% of the vote going to the new Popular Front. This is this alliance on the left that was thrown together basically 3 weeks ago to fight this election. Communists, Greens, Socialists, a party called France Unbowed on 28.5%. And then we've got 22% for Macron's centrist coalition Ensemble. So initial reaction, first reaction, not quite as high, I think, for National Rally. It's still a very good showing for them.
It's a good showing, but I don't think it's going to be enough after the mass dropouts. France 24.
Welcome to the programme. And we start then with the latest on the French election drama today.
The left is only 1 point behind the far right, according to official sources. Can you link that? Because we just saw 28 to 33, didn't we? 5 points behind?
Over 200 candidates, most of them from the centre and from the left, have dropped out of the race for Parliament. The aim is to re-establish the so-called Republican Front and block the National Rally from reaching power by ensuring the anti-far-right vote is not split. But in more than 100 constituencies, no candidate has stepped aside, and left-wingers are now accusing some in the president's centrist bloc of not doing enough to keep...
Here we go. Okay, this is from the French government. What is this discrepancy? According to the French government, it looks like the Union of the Left, which that's their that's the Popular Front, I assume, like the translated French name for the Popular Front. They got almost the same number of votes as the National Rally. I think these are individual parties and not necessarily the coalition. Wait, I'm not actually sure. The translation might be f***ing me here a little bit. RN plus allies is 33%. Gotcha. There's a 400k difference. Yeah, but I this isn't showing the coalition, it's showing the parties, you know? Either way, it's closer than people expected.
Keep Jordan Bardella and Marine Le Pen from high office. Oliver Farry has this report.
With the prospect of the far-right National Rally getting an overall majority in the second round of France's legislative elections, other parties are resurrecting the so-called Republican Front. The election has thrown up more than 303 or 4
For those of you who are slightly less familiar with history, Republican Front in a French context is based.
Second-round runoffs. This has prompted left-wing and centrist parties to consider giving way to other candidates better placed to defeat the National Rally. As of Monday night, more than 180 candidates had withdrawn from races. 2/3 of these were from the left-wing New Popular Front, and 1/3 from Emmanuel Macron's Ensemble coalition. Prime Minister Gabriel...
Like, just so you guys know, this is basically the French equivalent if in 2016 the Hillary campaign had recognized that Bernie Sanders had a better chance. It's not quite like that. Maybe that's an overstatement. I can't think of an example in the recent past of centrist Democrats realizing that the left had a better chance in a given election and ceding that ground. It seems like centrist Democrats always fight tooth and nail every single time. But in this case, like, I want you to imagine hundreds of centrist Democrats in local statewide races putting their hands up and going, you know what matters is that the Republicans lose. We're handing the primary over to the progressive, which is pretty based. It shows you how scared even liberals are of Macron, you know? The fact that, like, even fairly neutral and impartial news sources are referring to Le Pen as the first far-right government since Vichy France is crazy. You're giving too much credit to the centrists. They spent the campaign discrediting NFP. I know that. You know I hate Macron. Don't take that from me. Don't do that to me. Let me give credit where it's due, okay? This is good.
Gabriel Attal, likely to lose his job after only 6 months, said keeping the far right out of government was the most important thing.
Quite sincerely, the stakes are so high for the French. I'm secondary in all this. What I want is to avoid a national rally having an absolute majority, because I sincerely believe that would be catastrophic for the French, for our pensioners, for their savings.
For National Rally leader Jordan Bardella, the alliance intended to exclude the far right is a sign the establishment is worried.
I am not going to give any voting instructions, unlike Mr. Macron and Mr. Mélenchon. I believe that the French are intelligent, that they are old enough to decide for themselves. We are qualified today in 440...
This is the head of the of Le Pen's party.
Before constituencies, and for change, we must vote for the patriotic candidates of the National Rally Party.
But the left-wing France Insoumise party says the president's coalition has not been clear enough on urging its third-place candidates to step aside or advising supporters on who to vote for.
As far as we're concerned, we applied a clear rule, in line with the principles we've always applied. It's not one vote for the National Rally, not one more seat for the National Rally. And we do hope that the Macronist camp will show the same clarity. And indeed, it's not the case, depending on who you speak to.
289 seats are required for an overall majority. Failing that, parties will try to form a coalition similar to the one that
Shimple, do you think people iron their suits? Just asking.
Governed France for the past 2 years.
Well, let's go live now to the streets of Paris. Our reporter Clovis Casali is out and about covering the National Rally campaign. He's with me now. Clovis, there are just a few hours to go before those candidate lists are sealed, confirmed. What's the National Rally up to at the moment?
You steam them, but you don't iron them. Please, God, don't steam your suits. You'll separate the lining on the jacket. Never steam your suits. This is why you need them dry cleaned if they're dirty. Don't steam them, don't iron them. Please.
Well, all day here at the National Rally headquarters, there have been meetings. We've seen Marine Le Pen as well as Jordan Bardella. His entourage telling us that he's having one-on-one meetings also to try to finalise deals, of course, maybe clinch some alliances, maybe attract some right-wing MPs or candidates who could join the National Rally ultimately and try to form an alliance, get that outright majority in Parliament that the National Rally desperately needs. Of course, it's always easy.
This really does give me some hope. At the very least, that Le Pen can be delayed.
What the voters have elected us to do.
Marine Le Pen there, the leader of the National Rally. Clovis still with me. Clovis, let's talk about substance. What kinds of issues will Le Pen's party be campaigning on in this final week now?
Final week, final push before the second round of the election. And of course, the National Rally will try to explain its vision for France.
No, Zigabiz, you definitely don't want to steam your suits. You can separate the lining on the jacket. Heat and moisture with no pressure is literally how they separate the lining in suit jackets when they do so in like in tailoring houses, you know? Trust me, you do not want to do that.
with its anti-immigration stance, as well
as
its desire will to reform Europe, give less money to Europe,
no,
and at
you
the same
shouldn't
time
ever, Zigabis.
get just as much. Jordan Bardella stressing that it's possible if Europe cleans up its act as it needs to. Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella also...
What if there are no dry cleaners available? What can you do at home? Nothing. You dry clean them. That's it. Just Google it, okay? Just Google it. It's fine.
Again, trying to soften their message publicly, change the party's image. They've been trying to do so for years, and it does seem to have worked, given the results in the first round of the election. The National Rally, the French far right, basically saying, if you vote for the left-wing bloc, well, you'll allow Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the radical left leader, to become prime minister. He will cause chaos and insurrection in the country. At the same time, if you vote for the centrist bloc, well, you will be voting for President Macron's allies. President Macron accused by the French far right of doing very little for the French people and not actually listening to the people's...
All right, it seems like they're done discussing the shared dropout section.